and gentlemen, it's Wednesday. So delighted to see you for Ask the Theologian. I'm Dr. Randy White. We take your biblical, theological, and worldview questions. You know the drill if you're not new with us. That is, if you got a question, put the word question in front of it. That helps me find it if you're on the live stream. Or you can go to askthetheologian.com. Looks just like, almost just like that. Looks just like that. And click that little ask a question button right there, and it will it'll feed right in. Even instantly, live, we will get it. I was just checking out the bird cam there, see what we've got going. We got a what's this must be like a baby either chickadee or nuthatch. Just look at him just like lounging there, sitting there like a lazy bum, eating. What a lazy bird. And I moved the hummingbird feeder so we could see that too. So there, we'll see what's up with all that. We'll keep an eye on it. I think it's a nuthatch. Yeah, just a lazy old nuthatch. I'll have to check and make sure it doesn't have a broken leg or something. We may have to call in the bird rescue. But here we go for your questions. Hey, this is Wednesday. On Wednesday, we do the Gospel of Mark. Look forward to that about 10 minutes after 6 tonight. It's been fun to be looking in there. So we got anonymous questions. We got Ives. We got, Adrian, good to see you in New York. Jennifer in Washington. I've got 2 Jennifers in Washington, but I'm pretty sure this is Jennifer in Washington. And an assumption question. Got a question from William, from Manny, from Arthur. Matthew 24 question, a Cain question, an anonymous donor question. Boy, do we have the questions here today. So we'll go. Oh, Forrest is barking at Randy's phone, ringing in the background. Sorry about that. Every now and then it does go. It's just in the other room around there, and it rings at the wrong time. But here we go. Let's see. Was it? I'm pretty sure it was the anonymous donor question that we were supposed to start with today. I hope I got that right. I should mark these down. But here we go. When the English grammar of the King James is at odds with the Greek scripture grammar, what do we go with, or is this a false dilemma? Thank you. This is a very good question, and I have I've changed my tune a bit over the years on this issue. What I used to do is say, if the Greek scriptures were different, and let's just, for the sake of our conversation here, say we're dealing with the Textus Receptus. Now, we said Greek. We could be talking Hebrew as well. But let's just focus on the New Testament and the Textus Receptus. We're not going to get into the 30th version of the Nestle Aland or anything like that. So with that then, what do you do when you come to an issue where the Greek scriptures are different? What I used to do is I would say, this should be, this should have been. Now, I have matured over the years. And here's what I've discovered. That my Greek, and I would assume yours as well. As a matter of fact, I'll even go with your Greek, even if you are the world's greatest Greek expert. My Greek and your Greek are not sufficient enough to summarily dismiss the Greek of 50 some odd world's greatest Greek experts that did the King James. So many times when I was simplifying it too much, I was saying, well, clearly the Greek says this and therefore it should be that. The problem is that language itself has a lot of nuance to it, and certainly the Greek language has a lot of nuance to it. And I think that now we're better off saying there is a difference here. What appears to me, the Greek, to say this, and yet the King James has said that. Now I need to figure out, why did the greatest gathering of Greek linguistic experts ever gathered in history, and I'm convinced that's true, why did they choose to go with this? They were not politically driven. That was not part of their charter. Their charter was accuracy. So why did they do that? Did it have something to do with it? What, Bishop's Bible, what's up with it? What I have found in the past is I learn a lot more about Greek by saying this: the King James got it right. I must be looking at the Greek wrong. I need to figure out why. And so I go from there. Now, is there out there some place in which I want to say 52 or 54, pardon me for not remembering the number exactly, translators of the King James, that when they got together on this, that they all decided to go a different direction and they ignored the Greek grammar? I doubt you could find an example, but, is there one? If we could absolutely prove it, which I don't think we can do, but if we could absolutely prove it, yeah, I would go there. I would end up saying, okay, I'll go with the received text. And the King James is not the received text. I'll go with the received text. But I'm just not sure I could even find that place. I don't even know that I could give you an example of, say, hey, here's a place to start out with. So here's what I'll say. Use the King James to hone your Greek. Say, why did experts say it's this? Now, here's why I said at the beginning that even if you're the world's greatest expert, I'm still going to say use the King James to hone your Greek, because I am not convinced that the world today produces linguists like it did in the Renaissance. And King James, of course, would have been late Renaissance. Why? And furthermore, even if you're as good as they are, you're only one of them. And they absolutely did not have one of them do this particular issue. And so, they gathered together groups of scholars. So maybe if you could get together, let's say 50 unquestionably qualified Greek scholars, and you said, we got this wrong, I'll go with the Textus Receptus. But I'm just not convinced you're going to be able to get there. Thanks to the anonymous donor. I appreciate that. We appreciate donors of any kind there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been keeping an eye on this here a bit, and we better bring up some news on this. The bird is still there. I'm thinking that little nuthatch. I thought maybe it was just a baby and he was lazy, but he's still there. He's alive because he's eating the food. So I don't know if he is such a fat, lazy baby that he's just like, this is good, I'll just sit right here. Or I'm thinking more he's got a problem. But then I'm thinking, well, how do you get to the bird feeder if you got a broken leg or a broken beak, or what is it? So I don't know. We may have to call in the experts on this. Per your study on Cain. Yeah, Deb says the birdie is sick. I think the birdie needs some water. But I'm not there to take care of it. That's 13 miles from here. 13 windy miles from here. And Shelley is not there this morning either, so I'm sorry, Bird. There's nobody there to help you. You are on your own. You ever feel that way in life? I'm sick and I need some help, and everybody's gone. Okay, sorry, Bird. Per your study on Cain yesterday, Anonymous, since we are speculating, I was going to do some research on this, and I'm sorry. So this yesterday actually was Sunday, per my study on Cain on Sunday. Since we're speculating, what does the book of Enoch say about Naamah? Naamah is the sister of Tubal-Cain. Let's see here. I know that Josephus mentions her, but Josephus mentions her as Moses' wife. Not Moses, Noah's wife. So here was a quick search that says the book of Enoch does not mention Naamah specifically. It begins later, but I was connecting it, and the book of Enoch has a lot to do with the Nephilim and all that story there. So I would like to check that. I'm not sure I've got a book of Enoch that is searchable. No, I don't. So I'm gonna go with that quick discovery there to say, from a very quick glance, the book of Enoch does not mention it. Now, that could do a number of things. That could say, hey, it's a bad theory, because my theory was she is Ham's wife. Let's just ask a follow-up here. Does the book of Enoch mention Ham's wife? Okay, now this again says no, it does not mention Ham's wife. But I'm not. That's an AI answer, and I'm not sure that I completely trust that. I would check that. So let's check that out some more. Excellent. It's great thinking. I just don't have the great answer for you, as I should. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go to Matthew chapter 25, verse 41, and we've got another anonymous question here. Does Matthew 25:41, right here, then shall he say to them on the left hand, depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. Does this everlasting fire happen or this departure to the everlasting fire happen at the great white throne or before? I think this one is before. I would take this to be the second coming and the great white throne judgment to be at the end of the millennium. I would take these at the left hand to actually be those of Israel who are not Israel. They are Jews, but they're not faithful. They're not of the Jewish sect that is going to go into the kingdom. They're not of the remnant, I guess I should say. So them on the left again, are these, let's call these unfaithful Jews to whom the Lord says, "Depart from me, I never knew you." Thanks for that question. Arthur in Iowa. Good to see you. I see there's a word out there, Randy should have a cat. And maybe if we watch long enough, we will see the cat. There is a cat. And maybe that's the reason why we have the sick bird there. Who knows? The cat, the cat gets a bird every now and then, but not very often. So I don't know. These little nuthatches, they're pretty friendly. I mean, they'll come right up to the cat. So the cat could have gotten it and then it made it up there. Who knows? There's a oh, he's already gone. A hummingbird. We're just getting into hummingbird season. We'll fill that thing up and they'll drink all that in a day. Back to the question. Arthur in Iowa, good to see you. Do you see a parallel, another Cain story, do you see a parallel between Naamah, the sister of Tubal-Cain, whom I'm saying, we're speculating, could this be Ham's wife? And we'll have more on this this coming Sunday. So, do you see a parallel between Naamah of Genesis 4:24, who might have become the mother of Cain, and Naamah of 1 Kings 14:21 and 31, who was the mother of Rehoboam? Now, here's the passage. Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, reigned in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city which the Lord did choose out of the tribes of Israel to put his name. And his mother's name was Naamah, same name, the Ammonitess. The Ammonites are, let me just double check here. Before I tell you this, I'm pretty sure this is correct. Oh, no, I should know this. Okay. The Ammonites came from Lot. Remember Ammon and what was the other? Moab. The Moabites and the Ammonites come from Lot, which would have been the line of Shem, not the line of Ham or Canaan. I am going to guess, but this is worth looking into again, Arthur. Thanks for checking this out. I am going to guess that we have to assume these people just have the same name. That's not a bad assumption, and that one is not named after the other. The name, as I believe I mentioned Sunday, the name means something like pleasant, fair, beautiful, that kind of thing. So it's something that certainly, somebody could name their daughter Naamah and not be in complete reference to the other there. So I'm going to say immediately no connection there, but could we be wrong? Should we check into that? Yeah, let's do as we go through our study of Naamah. I bet nobody's ever had a study of Naamah before, and all of a sudden here we're deep into Naamah. Manny in San Antonio, when Satan was cast down to the earth in Revelation chapter 12, verse 9, the devil can't touch them because of 1 John 5:18. We're seeing if all these go together. We're going to check this out. Because God is protecting them in the wilderness, Revelation chapter 12, verse 6. Now, I have brought up all three of those scriptures. Let's see if we can pull that together. So first of all, Revelation 12:9. The great dragon was cast out, the old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Now, we do know that they are unable to to I'm thinking of the scorpions were unable to harm. This is the devil. But it does say 2 verses later, they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb. Now, there's a little bit between verse 9 here, where the serpent was cast out. This jumps ahead a little bit. It's not in chronological order. And so now is come salvation, the kingdom of our God, and they overcame him. We're kind of jumping to the end of the tribulation period, the day of Jacob's trouble here, when they overcome him. But how were they able to overcome? Does this relate to 1 John 5:18? We know that whosoever is born of God sinneth not, but he that is begotten of God keepeth himself, and that wicked one toucheth him not. Now, I'm going to jump here to verse 11. They overcame him. How? The wicked one toucheth him not, because they are one of God's. Now, does this go to Revelation 12:6? The woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,203 score days. So this place in the wilderness, this protective place in the wilderness. Now, if we could add one more, and I can only add 3 panels here, but if we could add another, I might go to Psalm 91. That is the psalm that, is, 1,000 fall at your right hand, 10,000 at your left hand. Nothing comes, no plague shall befall thee. There's nothing that shall hurt thee. Psalm 91 speaks of that protection. I think you've made some good connection here. The woman is in the wilderness. 12:9 at the right of the screen, or 12:6 at the right of the screen, is the same passage as 12:11 at the left of the screen. And to tie that to 1 John 18, which does have to do with people of that dispensation, the wicked one toucheth him not, there is a protection there. Yeah, I think that you can put that together. I kind of think you would be wrong to put it together for Manny and I, in our dispensation, to say, well, the wicked one cannot touch me. His work certainly could, and does. So, great connection there. I think you've done well. I give you an A+, Manny, for putting that together. William down in Aliso Viejo, California. Pastor, do you suppose the mark of Cain received is similar to the mark of the beast in the Revelation? Possible. I think that it would be natural to think so. My supposer, and this is a supposed question, my supposer is that the mark of Cain was a little more of a, let's call it a token, the same word that's used of the rainbow, the token of Cain, the token of the rainbow, that there is not actually a fleshly mark, let's call it, which I think I see in the book of Revelation, both when you have the mark of the beast and when you have the mark of God upon their foreheads that protects from those scorpions we were talking about a moment ago. I see those marks as in the flesh, a token in that sense. For some reason, and I don't have much to go on here, but since you did say, do you suppose, I think I'm free to go here. For some reason, I tend towards the mark of Cain is a little bit of a consistent reminder to those around that God has established Cain and the line of Cain and protected it, don't go there. Don't mess with that. So I would say more, I think token would probably be the best word there. A token which is a reminder of something. I probably got some tokens here on my, right along here somewhere. Let's see, is there a token? Well, I'm sure I have a token somewhere that say, hey, here's this reminds me of, and it stands as a reminder of. So I don't know why. I think that the standard understanding of the mark of Cain is more of a fleshly mark, like the mark of the beast or the mark of the faithful, like, something on him. And I think I barely mentioned in that some people make Cain, his mark, to be black skin. I completely disagree with that. I think it's eisegesis. But nonetheless, most, I would say, do take that mark of Cain to be something physical. I think it's physical, but I don't think it's physical in the flesh of Cain. But it's a completely supposer kind of thing. So could it be, as Nancy mentions, like the mark of the 144,000 Jews? They're marked. Could be. Could be that, warning, don't go here. Don't touch it. Remember Laverne had the big L? Could it be something like that announces? Maybe so, but I see it a little more as something like a rainbow that you see every now and then, and when you see it, it kind of elicits this story that you bring up and say, oh yeah, okay, I'm reminded that God has protected that line of Cain. Could I be wrong there? Yes, I could be. Maybe it's one of these we're not going to know until we get there. Okay, here comes from one John Doe or Jane Doe, who says, my assumption is different than yours on the nature of Adam. Well, that's good. Let's question both of them. I like it. My assumption is that Adam was created in God's image in the manner of choice. I assume what you mean by that is this is the impact of being created in the image of God, is that Adam has choice. God chose to give Adam that same ability to choose after God's nature and attributes. So God has the ability to choose. He's done it many times. Adam has the ability to choose, if I'm interpreting it correctly. That choice led to sin and death, and became his nature. Now, so here's where we would disagree slightly. I agree with you up to here, and you're right, our assumptions are a little different. So that choice did lead to sin. I completely agree with that. And that choice led to death. That was part of the choice. The day you eat of it, you shall surely die. So here is the choice. You make the choice. You do what you want to do, and you can do it. Now, that choice led to sin and death and became his nature. There is a little bit at which I am going to say, I somewhat agree with you, but not in the sense that, and the way you're saying it, I kind of agree with you, not in the sense that you are bound by nature. I would take that which is natural. We even kind of use the words two ways. Let's say that which is natural is impossible without a supernatural touch to change. That's the Calvinist position. It is natural that you will sin and will not choose what is good. That cannot be changed. Now, I think there's another sense in which we use natural, in which, maybe there's a couple kids playing over there, and one of the kids comes just out of nowhere, and he takes this, nice little girl's toy from her and just snatches it away. It's her toy. She was playing with it fine. Everything was good. And he just takes it. And that girl looks at him, and she takes that little precious hand of hers and slaps him silly. And grandparents are sitting back. Now, parents are sitting back saying, no, 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 no. Grandparents are sitting back saying, well, that's natural. This is the kind of, that's sort of a natural response. Is it a have-to response? No. So, in the sense that we defend ourselves, or in the sense that maybe we even have a little selfish streak in us, or in the sense that we sometimes overreact, or in the sense that we tend towards sin, all these kind of things. Yeah, that's natural because we've done it so much, because we find this is an easy. For example, you and I, we eat about noon. That's natural. But we don't have to eat about noon. It's not that natural. It's not that we're forced into. It's not native to us. It's just, this is kind of what we do. So to say the choice of sin, the choice led to sin and death and became his nature. If you mean that's natural, yeah. But if you mean that's his nature, I'm not sure I buy it. I'm not sure that his nature, I think that he could have, mankind can today choose to do good, is what I'm saying. The water's going downhill on this, but mankind can choose to go upstream. Now, let me read on and see if we're same page. God's image remains the same, but Adam's does not because of sin. This is where I'm not sure I agree with you. Adam's experience becomes different. He comes now into an age of conscience. Adam's even perhaps habits become different. His tendency begins to go downhill. This, all in all does not look good for Adam. But is it his physiology that has changed? The very nature that has changed? I don't know how this works, but I know that at our house we have geese, Canadian snow geese. They come in for the summer. They only spend the summer there, kind of like some Texans. So they come in, they spend the summer. They know when to come in. They know how to get there. I'm kind of assuming that it's physiologically implanted in them. We've got a little grouse back there. I thought I'd show you. Still the sick bird, but there's the western grosbeak is what we've got there. He's a pretty bird, isn't he? Back to the program. So we've. I'm going to say a DNA change. I don't think Adam had a DNA change. At least any more than, I don't know my DNA well enough to know. He didn't have a DNA change more than could be undone. So to say a person could choose to live right all day long. That's the harder choice. It's the rarer choice. It's the more difficult choice, but a person could do it. His nature does not disallow that. And I think theology says, no, his nature disallows that. He has to do that which is evil. He is nature. So let's use the word natured or tendency. I think maybe we have a tendency, we have a habit of sin, but is it a nature that cannot be overcome? I don't think so. Like this guy is naturally, kind of that orangish yellow color. And that's his nature. He can't really change that. Doesn't matter what he does. That's not going to change. So That's nature. Now, they tend to like sunflower seeds. That's what he's eating there, by the way. But they could eat other things. That's their tendency. Now, this one goes on to say, do we know enough about God to specifically say what that image exactly is? No, we really don't. I think there is a bit of a limitation there. I give you that one. There is a bit of limitation when it says we're created in the image of God. What exactly does that mean? I do think it has to mean we look something like God looks. I mean, that's what image, that would be the... That would be how we would take the word image, but it could be the spiritual image, the physical image. What exactly is that that's going on there? Good question. Let's move on and go to Jennifer. And oh, now we got two gross. Oops, he flew away. We had two there. Maybe he'll come back. Let's go to Jennifer in Washington. Why is there a pronoun change in Matthew 6:16 from plural to singular in verses 17 and 18? Let's check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Matthew 6:16. Moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites of a sad countenance, for they, I just want to highlight these, they disfigure their faces, that they, now all this makes sense so far, may appear unto men to fast. Verily, I say unto you, that matches the ye, that they have their reward. So far, so good. We like to be persnickety with pronouns. But thou, let's make this red. When thou fastest, anoint thine head, wash thy face. Completely a pronoun change. That, you get the idea. That thou not. And then he goes back to lay up not for yourselves. In verse 19, let's go ahead and highlight that one. Verse 19, we get the plural. So the yellow is the plural. And by the way, if you need a quick way to understand this, if you're not exactly sure, if it starts with a Y, it's plural. If it starts with a T, it's singular. Remember, Y has two things, and the T just has one. Singular, plural. So why does he do this? Okay, when ye, the group, fast, be not as the hypocrites of a sad countenance. Verily I say unto you, the group, that they have their reward. So this right here, okay, when ye fast, let's go ahead and put that all in yellow, and then put this all in red, when thou fastest, because you have the EST is also a singular verb. When ye fast, when thou fast. I think it's more just a linguistic kind of issue here that Jesus wants to hone in a little bit. A speaker might do this sometimes. A preacher might do this sometimes. You know, God is offering today through the resurrected Lord Jesus Christ, who died, was buried, rose again. He's ascended unto heaven, and through him, God is offering a gift of a free gift, not of yourselves, lest anyone should boast. He's offering it to men, women, boys, and girls. He's offering it to you, Jennifer. He's offering it to you, Adrian. He's offering it to you, Stephen. He's offering it to you, Deb. And I wonder, have you, boy, you, girl, have you See, in English, we only have the singular you, but we would go from y'all to you as a rhetorical device. So I'm going to go on this to say here it's really just a rhetorical advice. This sort of brings it down home a little bit as he goes through, because when you fast, when thou fastest. Could you pull out, okay, here's group fasting, here's individual fasting? I doubt it. Let me look at one thing in the Greek here. Okay, I'll go ahead and show you this. In the Greek, here's a Greek interlinear. Ye fast, notice that in the green right there? That, first of all, green is my color coding for it's the subjunctive text. That means, hey, sometimes you might fast. There's a possibility out there. You could even say, if you fast, be not like the hypocrites. But what I want you to notice is there really is not a specific pronoun there. It's actually embedded, it's built into the word here that this is the second person plural. So we know it's ye, but in Greek, it can't be anyone else. That's the verb. So there's not a real pronoun there. It doesn't have to be in Greek. It does in English. Now let's go down to verse 17. See this right here? Su is the word. Su is where we get you. It's also where we get thou. But thou, fasting, and anoint thy head, and the face, thou. He begins to use the pronouns specifically. Now, here's what this means in Greek. You don't have to use the pronouns in Greek if you're speaking of a verb. So you don't have to use the pronouns, but you can use the pronouns. Which tells me, because he starts using them, he really wants to emphasize. Again, it's a rhetorical advice, every man, woman, boy, girl, and you lady, you sir, you child, you. That emphasis on the you is kind of what he's doing here to make sure, hey, I want to make sure I'm talking to them personally. I want to look you in the eye and be able to do that. That's my guess on why the pronoun change is that there it is completely rhetorical. It just narrows it down. Fortunately, the difference between you plural and you singular here in this case is not problematic at all, because you are the people who fast, and thou, when thou fastest. Let's talk some individual stuff. Thank you there. Let's go across the country to New York, from Washington to New York. And we get Adrian. Good to see you. It's been a little while there. Do you have Western Grosbeck? I think the actual word is the Western Grosbecks. I'm assuming you do not have those in New York. Pretty birds. I like them. They only come through for about a month. A few will stay around, but there we go. A couple of them. Oh, that one said, get away from here. And then there's our sick bird swirling around there. But anyway, the hummingbirds are having a hard time with the wind today. Okay, back to it. Back to New York. Having a hard time. I shouldn't watch the birds. Not a question, but rather sharing a link to Russell Brand's recent confession of his faith in Christ and baptism. I recall some weeks ago a question of his faith being brought up in a broadcast. It did, yes. Praying for his growth and knowledge in the truth. Hope all is well. Thank you, and it's good to hear from you. It's been a little while. And there is a Rumble video called I Got Baptized, This Is Why. I Got Baptized, This Is Why. I'll check that out on Russell Brand. We talked about that a bit ago. And, I did say that my guess is he's got all sorts of messed up thinking. If he's been around any kind of evangelical Christianity or charismatic Christianity, which is in that evangelical camp, then he's messed up. He's confused. But hey, someone taking the right direction, it's a lot better than, I hate God and I'm an atheist and all the other stuff we see on there. So here's a move, and I just pray that some sane, calm individual could help the guy out. I'm pretty convinced that these celebrities. Look, ladies and gentlemen, the bird has jumped up to the top. That's the sick bird. I just saw him, and there's the hummingbird right there. But there he is. There's a second hummingbird over there, too. There we go. Okay. Your prayers are being answered. And, we got a little bird fight there. The grosbeck just chased off the sick bird. He flew away. You missed it, ladies and gentlemen, but he is now gone. And we got the three. They're taking over. There's the female up on the top and the two males down at the bottom. See, you get a bonus when you come to Ask the Theologian. I am sure Russell Brand is confused. If he went down to the local Baptist church, he'd probably be just as confused. So I'm with you, praying for his growth. What I was saying is, these celebrities out there, and I don't know Russell Brand, but these celebrities out there, if you ever get a chance to meet one of them, just be normal and don't care about all that. They got money, they got fame, they got, don't be awestruck by it. Just, hey, you probably could use a green chili cheeseburger in private. A little conversation about baptism and right division and all that. I was in Pampanga, San Fernando. Good to see you. I have a couple refresher questions I hope you could answer. I'm happy to. Number one, what is dispensationalism and what is it not? Oh, that's a nice question. Dispensationalism is the recognition that at certain points in history, God has given a revelation that really fundamentally changed all the rules. And so dispensationalism is just looking at the scripture for when do the rules fundamentally change. How's that? And when they fundamentally change, I want to change the rules there. So when the law came, the rules fundamentally changed. Now, Israel was under the law. Israel better recognize that and better go by it. And others had already recognized that God in the dispensation of promise was working through Israel. You better recognize that. If you're on the outside, you need to get on the inside. As Paul later said, those who are outside of the covenants and the commonwealth of Israel. Therein is the problem. They had no hope because God was working in the covenants and commonwealth of Israel. So dispensationalism is simply that recognition that the rules change along the way. And so as we read, we've got to see what change we're in. Where are we at? Now, that comes with, you've got to be able to read the Bible literally. So dispensation is a literal hermeneutic, or literally reading the Bible. And if it's figurative, literally read it figurative. That's literally figurative right there. But, you read the Bible normally. How's that? Just like you'd read anything else. It's normal. You take words for what they mean and you let them mean what they mean. But looking for that issue. Now, that's what dispensationalism is. What is it not? I would say it is not an eschatology. There is a dispensational eschatology that comes when you look for those change of rules and when you read it that way, but dispensationalism is not an eschatology. That may be one of its better known pieces, but it is not that. What else would I say that dispensationalism is not? I'll stop right there because there's a part 2 of the question. How many dispensations are there? And what's the importance of acknowledging this dispensation, these dispensations? Now, typically a dispensationalist would say there are 7 dispensations. Some would say I'd lean more towards 8, but I'm actually okay if you broaden some of those or if you narrow some of those. And this gets into this issue, what's the importance of acknowledging these dispensations? Some of them it's not quite as important as others. So let me give an example. I think you do have to recognize, and this is the easiest recognition of a dispensation there is, you do have to recognize we're not in the Garden of Eden anymore. Being outside of the Garden of Eden, it's important to recognize that. Otherwise, you would go through life thinking, hey, all I got to do is walk right over there and I can eat of the tree of the fruit of life and I can talk to God and walk with Him and, everything's going to be wonderful in the cool of the day. And then you're going to be frustrated because you can't get in there, if you could even find it. But then you've got some of the, let's even say the dispensation from conscience to government. What if you don't recognize that? It's not going to fundamentally change what you do today. I think the 2 that make the most impact is the dispensation of law and the dispensation of grace. These, I think it's fundamental to recognize the importance. Because if you mix law and grace, I might even have an old series on mixing law and grace. But if you mix law and grace, mix these 2 dispensations, you've got fundamental problems. If you mix the dispensation of promise with the dispensation of government with the dispensation of promise, or the dispensation of conscience with the dispensation of government, it's not going to completely fundamentally change your life. But if you mix law and grace, it really does fundamentally change things. And that's the difference, by the way, from being what I would call a right divider. Some people call us hyper-dispensationalist or ultra-dispensationalist. And the distinction is, where does law end and grace begin? A non-dispensationalist says there is no such thing as the transition. It's always been grace and law, and it only has to do with Israel's existence and Israel's non-existence, but the law is all the same. And so then they divide the law, the moral law, the civil law, the ceremonial law, and these things that aren't actually there. So what's the importance of acknowledging these dispensations? The importance is in that particular one. Where does the dispensation of grace begin? Where we are dead to the law. Because that's where you say, I need to go there to apply Scripture to myself. And if you don't get that dispensation right, you'll be applying things like, for example, the tithe. The tithe is a thing under the law. Many, even dispensationalists, put the tithe in for us. And then they pick and choose. You know, it used to be, I don't know how it was in the Philippines, but it used to be, probably was in the Philippines too, at least after the Spaniards came, that working on Sunday was, you know, you were not right with God. You needed to do 3 Hail Marys and a penance. Why did they hold to that so strongly? Because they didn't know where law ended and grace began. And so then they had to say, well, this is ceremonial law, this is civil law, this is moral law, which I guess this is moral. No, this is civil. No, this is, and they got all they created some pigeonholes, and then they tried to stick everything in one of those pigeonholes, and it was willy-nilly on how you stick them in there. Willy-nilly, a term you use in the Philippines? I'm not sure. So there's where it matters. Where does the dispensation of grace begin? And is it completely separate from the law? That will make all the difference in the world on how you read the Bible, where you apply the Bible, what you put yourself under, what are your obligations, what are your blessings. I think all that's pretty important stuff. So, salamat to you in the Philippines. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for that. Let's see, about out of time here, but I see that Pastor Bays says, would going bald help my ministry? I would say certainly, but I would question your verb there, going. Going implies a journey. This does not have to be a journey. You can be bald literally in 10 minutes. So I would say, would shaving my head help my ministry? Yes, it would. It would. Do it when you go on vacation so you can get a little tan up there, because we don't want to see the old pale head there covered in all that black hair. But yeah, it would help your ministry. It would help it in a number of ways. One, if you are, oh, look, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a magpie come to see us. I don't really like the magpies because they eat too much food. But they're pretty birds, and there they are, magpie. Now, getting back. When you're young and good looking, people come to your show because you're young and good looking. But that wears thin really quick. People good looking people are a dime a dozen, honestly. So you go, you look a little bit, you stare a little bit, and then ain't nothing there. There's somebody better looking, especially on YouTube. I mean, there's good looking people all over YouTube. Go on to the next better looking. When you got a bald head, they only come for the content. And that's why we have such a solid audience here. They are content driven. So, Bic is your answer. I knew a guy once, I think I may have told you this before, I'm not sure. I knew a guy once who owned a company, and he said, I never hire anyone who's good looking. I only hire ugly people. And why is that? Because the ugly people work harder, he said. The good-looking people, they think the world, should come lay the money at their feet. I don't need that. I need workers. So there you go. little philosophy for today. Look at the 3 hummingbirds sitting there, all getting their little drink today. We've had a good bird show today, if nothing else. But none of the None of the red-throated hummingbirds there. We just got the little green ones, which kind of changes depending on the color of the light there. There's actually, there was 4. Yeah, there's a 4th one in there. I don't know if you can see him. He's kind of hidden over there. They're not even going to stop and say hi. They're just going to drink. Thanks for joining us today. I didn't get to all the questions. Tomorrow, we are going to begin with the anonymous question, where are we when Revelation 1:7 happens? And then we've got a question from Winston-Salem. We've got a question from Virginia. We've got a question from Illinois already up on deck for tomorrow. We will not have a broadcast Friday. You may remember I told you that in case you missed. This Friday only. We'll have all the rest. So tonight, tomorrow night, tomorrow morning, we'll have it all, and we'll start with that. Where are we when Revelation 1:7 begins? Tomorrow. Thanks for being with us here. Tonight we'll have the Gospel of Mark, and look forward to that. And you can submit your questions at askthetheologian.com. Thanks for the donors, anonymous or otherwise. We always appreciate that very much. RandyWhiteMinistries.org. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you soon. God bless. I'll leave you with birds. How about that? We'll close out with birds today. And now that they've all left, they'll be back. You just keep on watching. The wind's blowing. Can you see the wind blowing? See you soon.